Hi, Andrew Kramer here again. Okay, here's what we got. We have this dancing maniac here. All right, look at these moves. I just want to point out there was actually no music during this dance session. So, I mean, this is all in his head, man. This is just pure ability. Yeah, let's close that out. Okay, what we're going to do is create that dancing silhouette effect, okay? So first thing we need to do is get rid of the green. So I'm going to select the layer, Effect, Keying, Key Light. Brings up the effects controls. Now we need to select the green, click on it. All right, then I'm going to go down to the screen pre-blur, set that to 2 so that our edges aren't too choppy. Then I'm going to go to the screen matte, clip it, say 50. Make this a 70. Turn on the toggle transparency, zoom in here, see how that looks. Yeah, looking pretty good. Well, let's try to get rid of a little bit more of that shadow. So we're going to clip some more of the black at say 55. Oh yeah, that's looking good. All right, let's move on. Now we have a problem, okay? There's all this stuff in the edges. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Andrew, why didn't you just take the green screen and put it long ways? Well, we were going to do that, but we thought it would be a fire hazard because, as you can see, there's a fire extinguisher here indicating below this item just in case there is a bunch of boxes stacked up and you can't quite see the fire hydrant straight on. You will know based on the sign it is directly below it. Not to mention, there's all these tables here and, we'd have to put it back, just forget about it. Anyway, I'm going to turn this effect back on, but lucky for you, he doesn't go outside of the green screen, okay? Now, a lot of times in production, you won't actually have just lazy, production designers. There's actually limitations for the particular effect you're trying to get, and they're usually pretty good about making sure that subjects stay inside of the green area. So, maybe I did it on purpose. Moving on. We're going to get rid of that by making a garbage mask, okay? So I'm going to select the pen tool, and I don't want to use the roto Bezier because I want to have a little bit more control over where my points go. So with the layer selected, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, hit the tilde key so we can see this full screen action. Okay, go ahead and click right here in the corner. Come down to this turn point right here. Click. Hold the mouse down until it kind of rotates around this turn. Click over here, come right across here, click here, come on up here, and finish it off. Now, when you're doing a mask, especially a garbage mask, you want to use as few points as possible, okay? I don't want to see anybody going in, clicking 1,000 points, zooming in, clicking 1,000 more. I swear, don't do it. Don't freaking do it. All right, moving on. Now, I want to do some other stuff, but I don't want to see my mask while I'm working, so I'm going to click on this little toggle masks. Shut that off, okay? We don't want to see it for now. We know it's there. We don't need to see it. Now, I'm going to collapse all this. With the layer selected, we want to make this a silhouette, right? We want it to be black and, a silhouette. So with the layer selected, I'm going to choose Effects, Color Correction, Hue and Saturation. Bring the saturation down to -100. That'll make it black and white. Then, here's the tricky part. I'm going to bring the lightness down to -78. Seems like the right number. I'm going to go Effects, Color Correction, Add Levels. And as you can see, the data is pretty much still there. So we want to actually crush the blacks by grabbing this input black about right here. Then I want to just bring back a little bit of the data in his face. So we're just going to yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay, I'm going to go to Layer, New Solid, and I'm going to choose a color for the background. We're going to go for like a orangish, yeah, something like that. Hit OK. Very nice. I'm going to take this layer, drag it to the bottom. I'm going to click on the layer, hit Return on the keyboard, and type background. Keeping track of these guys. And we'll call this Dancing Guy. Dancing Guy. Okay, next thing we need to do is make a dance floor. Now, We could just, you know, position this guy into various interesting poses, render it out, and have a commercial, you know. But actually, I want to take this a step further and kind of show you some other really, really cool techniques. So we're going to go ahead and skip the easy button and go right into the complicated stuff. I'm going to go ahead and reset the changes I made here. Transform, reset. Okay. What I'm going to do is make a dance floor for this guy to be dancing on into 3D space. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a new solid, and we're going to make this thing big. I'm talking full-on dance floor, you know, like the one, you know, the $400 dance floor, not the $100 dance floor. We're going to make this thing 1600 by 1600 pixels, okay? That's a square. I'm going to hit OK. And now we just have this huge freaking layer. Okay, with the layer selected, I'm going to choose Effect, Generate, Checkerboard. Okay, this is going to be one of those fancy checkerboard, you know, dance floors. So we're going to make this thing like 100 pixels. And now you're saying, okay, this doesn't look like any dance floor I've ever seen. Well, that's because we need to make them 3-dimensional. To do that, I'm going to hit F4 to bring up the 3D parameter switch if it's not already up. And for this layer, first I'm going to select return, call it dance floor. Well, before I go on, I'm going to put the dance floor below the dancing guy and turn on the 3D switch for both of these layers, okay? And as you can see, this little gizmo pops up for the 3D layers. Now you're saying, okay, this still doesn't look like a dance floor. What are you going to do? Well, we're going to select the layer, go to the rotate tool up here, and we're going to rotate it on the x-axis. That is this red gizmo here. Holding down shift, I can rotate it in increments of 45 degrees. Well, say I get in here and I just screw it. Oh, crap, right? And for whatever reason, I didn't have any undo levels on. Well, if you go up to the rotate tool, double click on it, it resets the rotation value. Pretty cool, huh? Well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to select the x-axis here, hold down shift and rotate it until it's disappeared and it's a long line. Now, we need to be able to edit this and edit it in a way that we can, you know, see what's going on. Well, if I move this down at his feet, you see, okay, well, where exactly is his feet? We can't quite tell because this is a perspective view. We can, you know, we can see off into the distance. The squares right here are smaller than the squares up here. Well, we're going to switch it to an orthographic view. And what that is a view that is flat. So we're going to go down to the front view. And now we can see the layers in sort of 2 dimensions. And I'm going to move this layer down to just below his feet, kind of scroll through, and this line right here kind of represents the bottom. And make sure that it doesn't, see, his feet kind of come down over it. We want the ground to be below his feet for the most part. So that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to go back to the active camera, which is just the composition's default view until you create a camera. And now I want to add some dynamic to this. So I'm going to go to Layer, New Camera, select OK. And now I have this brand new cool tool called the Orbit Camera Tool. And what it does is it orbits around our pivot point here, which is a very cool thing. Now, currently our pivot point could be set anywhere. So we want to go to the top view, zoom out here, and make sure that the pivot point is set around our layer. And our dancing guy's right here. Our pivot point is, in fact, right around him. So that's exactly what we want. Now, should the camera have been, say, in another place, like, say, over here, in the active camera, well, our pivot point would rotate around that point, which wouldn't be nearly as cool. So let's go and edit, undo, Control Z, get back to where we were, Apple Z or Command Z, or edit, undo, edit history, undo. Yeah, however you want to get back. Now, what we're going to do is create a camera move. So I'm going to go to the camera, go to the properties below, transform, keyframe the point of interest. Okay, move forward about 2.5 seconds. Set keyframes for this position too. All right, now I'm going to go back to the beginning. Now, I could sit here and go, right? I want to adjust this, and I want to adjust this. But if I just take this orbit camera tool, I can do all those adjustments very quickly just by clicking in the composition area and dragging around. So it's much easier, and you can get much cooler looking views, you know. Now, if I want to, I can also move the camera forward. So if I take this track Z camera, I can actually dolly the camera forward, or I should say truck the camera forward, because a dolly moves left to right and a truck moves front to back. So we actually can truck it in if we'd like, and that can make for a very cool effect. So say what we do, track it in, okay, orbit a little off to the side, maybe even track it in some more, maybe beyond him. Then our ending position is right here, right? Now say we want this ending position to maybe be up above and kind of over here, and maybe even zoomed out some more, you know, like a wide angle. Well, let's check it out. Well, as you can see, we kind of cut them off, so we'd want to try to move the camera over a little bit to the left. So the track XY, we can just drag over to the left. So now the camera comes around him, goes up to this nice top view. Very cool, right? Now let's check it out. Let's go and preview it. I hit 0 on the keyboard. All right, that's good for now. Okay, so I mean, that's pretty cool, but let's move on. Let's take this another step up. I'm going to create a new solid and make it the same as the comp, and I'm going to make it kind of a dark brownish red, like right here. Hit OK, select OK. Then I'm going to go to the elliptical mask tool, double click on it. That adds a mask to this layer. If I turn the masks back on, you can see it. Then I'm going to hit MM on the keyboard while the layer is selected, change the mask property to subtract, and mask feather to a bunch, maybe right there. Then I'm going to hit F4 to bring up the transfer modes, and I'm going to change it to, say, multiply. Or, you know, I can hit Shift and hit plus or minus to kind of toggle through them. Well, linear burn is actually kind of a cool one. It kind of blends with our orange in the background and kind of creates a neat look. Now, I can also change the expansion of the mask so that my effect is a little bit more smooth as it goes off to the edges. So maybe we'll make it just about there. So that's kind of cool. Now we can play the animation through, and it kind of sits in the background like that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and look at this from a design point of view and a compositional point of view. First of all, this white is really harsh to me, so I'm going to select the dance floor, hit T, bring it down to say 50%. Just kind of, it's kind of a background element. I don't want it to be so strong. Also, this camera move isn't that particularly cool. So I'm just going to shut the keyframes off for it, and we're going to go ahead and work something else out for the camera move. But first, I want to add this guy a shadow, okay? I mean, anybody knows life is just not fun without a shadow. So first thing I want to do is just reposition the camera into the center here, maybe about right there. Then I'm going to select the dancing guy layer. I'm going to hit Control D on the keyboard, or Command D, and duplicate the layer, okay? So now we got 2 dancing guys. Whoa, that could be fun, but maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. First of all, we want to blur this layer out. Fast blur, maybe make it 20, okay? Then we want to take the rotation tool and lay him on his back. So I'm going to rotate it backwards, hold down Shift, and let it go. So as you can see, if I rotate around here, there's a shadow figure coming out of the middle of this guy, right? Not quite what we want. So we're going to lower this down to the ground by clicking on the Z axis here and sliding it down. And just as it goes through the bottom layer, we want to stop it right before, so that it's laying on top of the dance floor. Now, the other thing we need to do is line up the feet. So we just slide it up, maybe about there. And now we got a nice little shadow, okay, that kind of follows along with what he's doing. Okay, pretty cool, but the shadow's just not looking too good. Just not looking too good. It's just not looking too good. So I'm going to select the layer, choose Effect, Transition, Linear Wipe, and I want to feather it to kind of make it look like it's falling off into the distance. So I'm going to change the angle. If I move the transition completion, you'll see that our angle is incorrect. So I'm going to change our angle to 180. So that will be coming from the top. Then I'm going to change the feather to a lot, maybe like that. You can also make the completion so it's just a shadow at the feet, or make it a full body shadow. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to increase the blur to about 25. Okay, now we want to just take this shadow, select return, call it a shadow so we can keep track of it. And I actually just want to put it below our dancing guy just to keep track of it here in the stack. And we got some cool things going, but our shadow seems a little dark. So I'm going to select the shadow layer, hit T, bring the opacity down 75. Much better. Now I'm going to go back to the camera, bring the properties down, re-keyframe the position of interest and the position. Then I want to go back to the top view and make sure that our center is around our center of our guy. So I'm going to take this of the camera's position of interest, and just make sure it's right on our guy, which is right there. I'm going to go back to the active camera, and we're going to make a cool camera move. So I'm going to move forward to about 2.5 seconds, and without setting keyframes, I'm going to choose the orbit camera tool and just orbit around our guy to maybe like a nice low angle. And be careful to not to go all the way around him. You don't want to show that these guys are just, paper thin. So maybe we'll go to about right here, nice low angle. And then for the sake of this move I want to go ahead and turn a keyframe on for the point of interest. And that way it keeps him it keeps the point of interest looking at what we want. So I'm going to move back to the beginning of this, change the track Z, and kind of just zoom out. I want to go for kind of a wide shot, and then I'm going to orbit up to even a higher angle, and we need to track the X and Y to look at our subject a little bit better. So now if I play this back, the camera comes down and back across. Now right here it kind of loses our subject because of where the anchor point is, or the position of interest. So if I go to the top view, I can look at where my position of interest is, which is right here. And if I want, I can move it back to where our character is. I shouldn't change a whole lot. Now, if I go back to the active camera, it might be, say, a little low or something small like that. But if I go to the track XY, I can just look down. And that shouldn't change too much because I'm still in the same area where I started the camera move. So this is a pretty cool camera move. I mean, I can feel this. So let's go and select all these keyframes. And by drawing a box around them, I'm going to hit F9 to kind of give an easy ease. Now, we can look at the easy ease curve by turning on the little graph for both of them and then clicking on the graph view. And then you can hit the tilde key to bring it up. I can click on this fit to view, and that will fit them all in this view. So as you can see, this move is nice and round, which means it's nice and smooth. So this is like the velocity. So it's like slow. It's like down at 0, and then it gets a little bit faster, and then tops off, comes back down to a nice slow stop. It's exactly what we want. It's a good camera move. So let's go and play this. Okay, I'm going to hit 0 to play this back. All right, I mean, that is a very cool camera move. And as you can see, I mean, he doesn't appear to be too two-dimensional. But then again, maybe that's the effect that you're going for. Well, I can see I've moved this dark layer around, so I'm just going to go ahead and reset the position of it and then lock it down since, it's moving around, it needs to stay in place. All right, the next thing I want to show you is just like a really, really cool effect, okay? I'm going to duplicate this dancing guy. I want to make like a group of dancing guys, maybe like a band or something. Well, I could duplicate this guy, duplicate his shadow, move him over, keep him together, whatever. But instead of doing that, you know what I'm going to do? Select both of the layers by holding down Shift, hit Control-Shift-C, and that's going to set up the pre-composition window. I can also just select both the layers, choose Layer, Pre-Compose, and I'm going to move the attributes into the new composition. I'm going to call this my dancer and hit OK. Now, what's happened? Our guy is, he's no longer 3D. What happened? He's just standing there now. So what are we going to do about that? Good question. I'm going to Alt double click on this dancer. So I'm going to Alt double click, and it's going to open up the composition of our guy. Now, if I hit F4, I can see that these layers are 3D, but they're not showing up in my composition where I had them nested. And that's why we have this collapse transformation switch. Right here, it looks like a little sun star. Well, if I click it, now the layer, now the 3D attributes of the layer will be registered in this composition by this camera, which means wherever these are positionally, that's where they are in this composition. So they're basically back where they were before I pre-composed them. But guess what? Now they're just one sprite. I can move it around, it's still 3D, it just re-registers the position. Now what if I want to move this guy back or forward? Well, I don't want to enlarge him, that'll mess up the 3D camera ability. So actually, if I turn the 3D switch on now for this pre-composition, which now has 3D layers inside of it, okay, are you with me? I can now move this layer into 3D space just using the gizmo, just like before. Except now, essentially, if you want to think about it he's like a 3D model. Okay? Don't think about it too much. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the dancer layer. I'm going to hit Control D, duplicate it. I'm going to go to the X and move him over. Whoa. I'm going to duplicate another one. Push him back into the Z space. I'm going to make another one and move this guy over here, okay? Now these guys are, they're perfectly in sync, I mean, they're dancing to the exact same tune. Let's go ahead and set up, say, a compositional set. So like, say these guys were dancers, okay? You would have the good-looking guy in the front, okay? He'd be kind of way out here, right? You'd have the bass player. He's kind of off to the right side, and he's got his head turned away, or his hair's covering his face. Then we have this guy, which is the drummer. He's in the background, okay? I mean, the lights probably aren't even on this guy. He's just way back there. Then you have the rhythm guitar player, and he's kind of off over to the side, playing songs that you guys haven't rehearsed yet. But that's okay. No offense to you musicians out there. I actually am just making fun of you to pass the time, so not to worry. All right, this is a pretty good setup, but now we have that they're just kind of standing there, it looks kind of awkward. Well, what if we offset the time of when these dancing clips start? So if I push this one over a little bit, zoom out here, we're using the negative key, push this one over a little bit more, then push this one over even more, even a little bit more. Okay, so now if we play the animation, you can see that these guys kind of get cut off at the end. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera move so that we keep all the guys into a good frame. Even though it's a 3D camera, you need to treat it like you might if it weren't. So I'm going to we'll cheat and just go maybe right here. And maybe I'll even push it forward in on these guys. And just move it up. That way they're in frame nicely. I'm going to zoom out here, go back to my original angle. Okay. My Easy Ease keyframes are on. I'm going to hit N to close off the work area. I'm going to hit 0, and we're going to check it out. Okay, as you can see, it's playing here. All right, pretty cool, right? Now, what's the problem? Now that we have a band, all right, now they're not releasing solo albums, our dance floor is not in the center anymore. So I'm going to select it and just push it back so these guys are kind of dancing in the middle of it. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty darn good. Say you're making a television intro called Battle of the Bands, okay? Maybe you want to show a band up close, and then you want to zoom out and show another band. Well, what if you used 3D cameras to move from, say, one area to another area? Okay, what do I mean? I will show you. I'm going to take this camera, select it. I'm going to hit Control D and duplicate it. And then I'm going to shut this other camera off, okay? And that way it won't be registering in our composition. Then I'm going to go to the transform options and shut the keyframes off. And we're actually going to go to the end of it, then shut the keyframes off so it keeps this state in the camera. Then I'm going to go to the orbit camera tool, kind of come up with a cool shot, maybe right here. All right. Then I'm just going to take a couple of these guys and duplicate them and drag them up over on top of this camera so that I can see that they're separated. We'll call these the duo. All right, these guys are in a different band. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the top view, and I'm gonna drag these guys. Actually, I'm gonna hold down Shift and just push them off way back here. Okay, these guys are like in the background. They're like at the concession stand or wherever you may have them. I'm going to go back to the active camera. Zoom in here. So you see our other band there in the background. And, you know, you can do this. You can do, you know, whatever type of effect you want. You know, I don't care. Now, I want to make another dance floor for those guys back over there. So I'm going to duplicate the dance floor, go back to the top view, and drag this second dance floor underneath these guys. Okay, so I'm just going to drag it so it's right over top of these gray layers here. It might be hard to see. Then I'm going to go back to the active camera, zoom in here, and go to the camera 2. Bring down the properties for it. Move forward to about right here. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of turn the camera so that I only see this band. Maybe I'll turn it over to this side here. Or you know what, better yet, it is kind of cool that we see both the bands. So maybe I go right here, move our front runner over, just for the sake of composition. Move our bass player a little bit over also. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the camera and bring up the properties again. So this is our ending state. Okay, this is where we want to get to. Okay, how are we going to get here? I don't know, but this is where we want to get to. So I'm going to keyframe the position and the point of interest, right? Now, where do I want to start? Well, I want to start, say, on these guys back here. So I'm going to go to the camera options here. I'm going to track him and go past these guys, okay? Fly on past them. Go to the track Z, move this over here like this, and I could do this for a while until I get out there. Instead, I'm going to go to the top view, go to my camera, and put the pivot point just on our characters back here, and then just move the camera by holding down Shift and just pushing it out there. Okay, let me move the pivot point back onto our character since I've moved the whole camera. Okay, cut back to the active camera. Then I can refine. The angle of our characters here, and maybe I want to start, you know, on a view on this side since the other camera's on the other side. Well, let's go ahead and move these guys closer together since they are a band. So I'm going to select that layer and just kind of move them closer together. Then I'm going to select all these keyframes, hit F9 so that it's a smooth curve. Then watch this. Whoa. I mean, I didn't even try and we just fly right past them. You know, maybe that's what we want to do. So let's go to the beginning of this and let's play it. Well, actually, you know what we need to do? Because whenever you get too close to like low resolution footage, you can kind of see the edges. And so what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the motion blur. Okay, but look, we don't get motion blur because these are nested compositions. So what are we going to do? We're going to Alt double click on one of them, turn on the motion blur setting for just the layers, not the composition, go back to the composition, and just turn on the switch. That's all. It automatically looks at the layers and registers the motion blur. We also need to just turn it on for the dance floors though. So let's turn it on by clicking on these little switches. As you can see, the motion blur is registering and we can watch this really cool effect. So I'm going to select the camera and hit U so that I can see. All right, let's go ahead and preview this. All right, pretty cool. Now, what if we wanted to adjust that camera move? We're like, well, it's good, but you know, maybe it didn't turn out good right away or something. Well, if we go back to the top view, say we wanted the camera to come around wide around our subjects at the end and then end where it is. Well, let's set a keyframe about where that's going to happen, towards the end about right here. So I'm going to turn on the little switch here for the keyframe. And now if I go in here, I can move the camera over around that point. So as you can see, the camera kind of smoothly comes over and around. Let's go ahead and move this over here. But we still want the camera to be looking at these guys. So let's change just the pivot point or the point of interest to look at our characters still. So let's just move it to about there and go back to the active camera. All right, so what happens is it flies past these guys and then pulls these guys into frame. right? And that might be a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Now, what if we wanted to add text to this layer? So let's go ahead and set this up to add text. So let's rotate the camera, say, over to the side, and let's track it so that there's some space in front of him, like right here. Frankly, we should go a little bit closer on these guys, so I'm going to zoom in on them using the Track Z tool. Well, I'm going to select the T, and I'm going to type some text here. I'm going to call this 2X kids, right? And that looks perfect. It's white, just what we need. Well, let me click on the 3D switch to make it 3D, and it disappeared. What happened? Well, let's go to the top view. And here's our layer up here in the center, basically the 0, 0 area where they generally populate. And we need this thing to be back here with these guys. So let's just hold down Shift, hit the arrow keys, and let's just drag it back there. Maybe right over here, just to the left of them. Go back to the active camera. And there is our text. Let's get it into position. Let's move it like right here, and let's make it a little bit bigger. All right. So now that it's in position, let's go ahead and turn on the motion blur for it, and let's just line it up a little bit better with our composition, maybe right here in the middle. Okay. These are the 2X kids, meaning 2 times the fun as this guy, or even this guy. We watch it, flies past these guys, over to these guys. Well, maybe while it's flying, hit the T and we'll fade it out, kind of as it withers away in distance. So it's good to get rid of things during motion. That way you can't really see that they are leaving us. Okay, let's go and check it out. Wow, look at that. These are the 2X kids, and these must be the new kids on the block. All right, now, what if we did one more thing? Gosh, I'm trying to finish this tutorial, and I just keep freaking thinking of stuff. Obviously, this is the type of effect that you could basically tinker on till the end of time, you know, until you run out of time, frankly. Well, I'm going to alt-click on a dancer, and I'm going to go to this dancing guy. I'm going to shut this hue, saturation, and levels off, okay, so I can see this cool-looking guy here. I'm going to go back into my composition, and what is it going to mean for us? It means we got some live-action guys dancing here. So, to me, this is way funnier than the thing we had up before. Well, I want to color him a little bit better, so I'm going to do something pretty advanced here. I'm going to go to this layer, okay? I'm going to select New Viewer, okay? And this is now locked, okay? I can unlock it, but now it's locked. I'm going to select the dancing guy, do Effects, Color Correction, choose Levels. Then I'm going to go back to the other composition, or frankly, show them both up. Go back to this composition. All right, and now lock this one so that it's the final output. Then come back to this composition. Whoa, you with me? Select this layer, and we're gonna basically tint this orange so that it matches this. So I'm gonna go to the red channel, add some red, very nice. Go to the blue channel, add some orange, something like that. And then go to the RGB channel. Let's just make this a little better exposed. Crush the blacks a little bit. That is intense. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this view, unlock this view, and work with what we have here. Okay. Man, where is this tutorial going? Nobody knows. Now, obviously, this effect can be done with multiple people, so you wouldn't necessarily have to duplicate the same person. So, likely, you could actually have a whole band in this effect. Well, that's my time. If it hasn't already spent away, if you're still watching this, let's put it that way. If you're still watching this, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Sometimes I just get off in a tangent and, you know, just lose it. Although I will point out one last thing here is think about all the cool camera moves you could do. I mean, it's endless. You know, you have, you know, maybe you could zoom in on them here. And, you know, fly into view. I mean, seriously, once you get them distributed into 3D space, I mean, you pretty much can do whatever you want. I mean, let's be honest. You've seen this effect before on TV where it kind of flies past the people to reveal our newest subjects. I mean, it's a totally cool effect. So just seriously, open your mind to a whole new dimension. Well, it's not exactly new, but you get the idea. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and I really hope this tutorial has helped you out.